On a cold, foggy night, four friends Alex, Jessica, Mike, and Sarah stood at the rusted gates of the abandoned Ravenwood Asylum. Once a sprawling mental hospital, it had been left to decay for decades after a series of mysterious deaths and disappearances. The asylum's history was shrouded in rumors of dark experiments, ghostly apparitions, and vengeful spirits. "I can't believe we're actually doing this," Jessica whispered, her breath visible in the chilly air. "Come on, it'll be fun," Mike said with forced bravado, shining his flashlight into the darkness beyond the gates. "Just think of the stories we'll have to tell." The gates creaked open with an eerie groan and the friends stepped inside. The asylum loomed ahead, its windows like blackened eyes staring into their souls. The air was thick with the scent of mold and decay. As they walked up the cracked pathway, an owl hooted somewhere in the distance, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. The front doors of the asylum were slightly ajar. Alex pushed them open, and they stepped into the main hall. The flashlight beams revealed peeling wallpaper, broken furniture, and old medical equipment scattered across the floor. A cold draft blew through the hallway, making them shiver. "Let's stick together," Sarah suggested, her voice trembling slightly. The others nodded in agreement. They began to explore the dark, labyrinthine corridors of the asylum. Each step echoed ominously, and the darkness seemed to swallow their light. As they ventured deeper, they heard faint whispers and footsteps behind them, but whenever they turned around, there was nothing there. In one room, they found an old, dusty journal. Jessica picked it up and began to read aloud. May 5th, 1932. "The experiments are becoming increasingly dangerous. The patients are growing restless, and strange occurrences are becoming more frequent. Last night I heard a child's laughter echoing through the halls, but there are no children here." A sudden loud bang interrupted Jessica, making her drop the journal. The friends spun around, but the hallway was empty. Their nerves were fraying and the feeling of being watched was growing stronger. Continuing their exploration, they entered what appeared to be the hospital's operating theater. Rusted surgical tools lay strewn about, and an old gurney sat in the center of the room. As they examined the space, the temperature dropped sharply. "Do you feel that?" Alex asked, his breath fogging up in the icy air. Before anyone could respond, the gurney began to move on its own, slowly rolling towards them. Panic set in, and they backed away, only to hear a faint, haunting lullaby coming from the corridor. It grew louder, accompanied by the sound of a child's laughter. "Let's get out of here," Mike said, his voice shaking. Despite their fear, curiosity drove them deeper into the asylum. They found the stairwell leading to the basement, where the most disturbed patients were once kept. The air grew heavier, and the sense of dread was almost palpable. In the basement, the friends stumbled upon a row of cells. The iron bars were rusted, and the walls were covered in strange, undecipherable symbols. As they passed one of the cells, Sarah gasped. The ghostly figure of a woman in a hospital gown stood inside, her eyes hollow and empty. "Help me," the apparition whispered, reaching out a translucent hand. Sarah screamed and stumbled back, tripping over a loose stone. The friends hurriedly helped her up, but the figure had vanished. "We need to leave," Alex insisted, but the others were too terrified to move. In the deepest part of the basement, they found a hidden room. The door was heavy and reinforced, unlike the others. With a sense of foreboding, they forced it open. Inside, they discovered a makeshift laboratory filled with outdated medical equipment and jars containing preserved organs. On a table in the center of the room lay a stack of files. Alex picked one up and began to read. Project Blackwell. Objective: to harness the energy of the human soul through extreme psychological and physical trauma. Results have been disturbing. Subjects exhibit signs of possession and extreme aggression. Further research needed. As Alex read aloud, the temperature plummeted further, and the lights flickered. A guttural growl echoed through the room, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. "We're not alone," Jessica whispered, clutching Mike's arm. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. The room grew darker, and shadows danced on the walls. The friends formed a circle, their flashlights the only source of light. From the darkness emerged figures, ghostly apparitions of former patients, their faces twisted in pain and rage. They moved closer, whispering unintelligible words, their eyes glowing with malevolence. "We need to stay calm," Alex said, but his voice betrayed his fear. "They feed on fear." The apparitions closed in, their whispers growing louder and more insistent. The friends' flashlights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. In the pitch black, they felt cold hands grasping at them, pulling them apart. Sarah's screams echoed through the room as she was dragged into the shadows. The others tried to hold on to each other, but the spectral forces were too strong. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, Alex remembered the journal they had found. He fumbled in the darkness, pulling it from his backpack. Flipping through the pages, he found a passage that described a cleansing ritual. "Everyone, gather around," he shouted, reciting the ritual's words. The ghosts recoiled, their whispers turning into anguished wails. The room shook, and a blinding light filled the space. When the light faded, the ghosts were gone. The friends were battered and bruised, but alive. They stumbled out of the hidden room and made their way back to the main hall. As they exited the asylum, the first light of dawn was breaking over the horizon. They stood outside, breathing in the fresh air, grateful to have survived. "We're never doing that again," Mike said, his voice shaky. "No argument here," Jessica agreed. But as they walked away from Ravenwood Asylum, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The ghosts of the abandoned asylum had been disturbed, and they would not rest until their story was told. Weeks later, as Alex reviewed the footage they had captured, he noticed something chilling. In the background of one of the videos, a faint figure stood in the shadows, watching them with hollow eyes. The asylum's ghosts were still with them, a reminder of the horrors they had witnessed and the secrets that remained buried in the darkness.